All right, we are live. Welcome to the Friday night stream, which is actually just the Thursday night stream postponed today. Wanted to just come on and talk about a Linux distribution that I recently discovered. I haven't even installed it yet. So I thought I would go through the complete process. I know there are some haters out there that criticize for not going through the start to finish process on something like this. So I'm going to go ahead and see if this is done yet. That's still doing backups. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We are going to work from this Proxmox server. Oh, bugger, the music's still on. Thank you for letting me know. That's something new I've been playing with. Okay, music is off. Music is off. All right, so good evening, everybody. Joe and David, thank you for coming on. Spirallinux is a distribution that I just found out about this week. Let's take a look at their news page. So this appears to be it's Debian-based, and I think these are some of the same developers that were behind Gecko Linux. Spirallinux will fill the void in the event that OpenSUSE Leap ceases to exist or turns into a completely different sort of product. So this is maybe their first release. I think it is their first release. Again, this is Debian-based. So just for the sake of argument, since I am doing this in a VM, well, everybody can see the screen. Do any of you have a preference on the desktop environment for Spirallinux? Because I haven't downloaded the ISO yet, and whatever people think, I will download that, and we will get started and continue poking around. Any takers? So the snail is the builder version. I think that's one that you're supposed to customize as you go. I mean, we can try that, but I don't think... Let's see. Does it give us an explanation on that one? Does that even give us... let's see. The Builder Edition. Not appropriate for most users. Not at all polished, intended as a base for experienced users to build on and configure to their preferences. Basically contains a bare IceWM shell, web browser, graphical text editor, GUI configuration tools, and the Calamares installer. Okay, so the bird, the LXQT, that seems good. So what I want to do is I want to cancel this, and you'll see why in just a moment. So there should be a direct link for downloading this somewhere here. And I hate it when they don't do that. Okay. That's disappointing. All right, so we'll do it this way. I'll save it to my main machine, and in 4 minutes we should have the ISO downloaded. Then we can upload it to Proxmox and continue on our path. So yeah, the interesting thing is that back here, this is apparently so new. I think the website I found out about it on was 9 to 5 Linux. No, not 9 to 5 Mac. That's not going to help. 9 to 5 Linux. Oh, and there's a new release of LibreOffice as well. Yes. So, bugger with the ads. Yeah, from the creator of Gecko Linux. Focused on simplicity and out-of-box usability across all major desktop environments. Blah, blah, blah. Comes in no less than 8 flavors, plus the Builder Edition. Out-of-box support for Flatpak apps. With a graphical manager for Flatpak packages and pre-installed Flatpak theming. We've got well, it's based on stable Debian repositories that can easily be upgraded to the Debian testing or Debian unstable repositories with just a few mouse clicks, if one needs newer packages or support for newer hardware offered by the latest kernels. The ISOs are live type ISOs, so you could try it before you install it. Based on Debian 11 Bullseye, powered by the 5.16 kernel series. So that's the write-up on it. And I guess distro watch. Spirallinux, and just links us directly back to the homepage. Okay, so yeah, that's that. We're downloading, and so in the meantime, how's everybody doing tonight? Seemed to be a nice day outside today. Got a little rain here in Michigan. But other than that, everything's going well. Finishing up the laptops I was working on yesterday and most of today. I'm going to have the customers actually picking them up from me on Monday morning. So that all fell into place. As far as weekend plans, tomorrow is my niece's graduation open house. And then once that's over with and I'm back home, I'm hoping to finish the final touches and do a first power up on the i9 system. I'd sort of backburnered that because of the laptops I needed to finish up, and working on the wireless project for the campground, which is not going so well because the equipment I had recommended to me does not work the way the person that recommended it said it worked. So that was a mistake, and I kick myself for not just ignoring the suggestion and continuing with my own research. Yeah. So I've got some extra access points that I will use for something else at this point, or at some point in the future. So yeah. All right. David said, did test build of my new virtual machine server. I thought I might have had to return some of those parts. No post. Ooh. Cutting over from the edge switch to pfSense, mostly easy, except for a switch that's stuck on a static IP. SSH in to figure out the command to go to DHCP. Very good. Well, that should be interesting. I'm interested to hear more on that whole thing. So I'm not sure I talked about this on the stream before. I am stalling a little bit while this download finishes. So I got my dad switched over, I don't know, about a month and a half ago, and thankfully it's gone stellar, as well or better than could be expected. But he's in an area just outside where cable internet goes, and the DSL that he had available was very unreliable. And so he has been, since right before, I think the summer before COVID, so summer of 2019, he switched to using mobile hotspots for his home internet. And thankfully, the people at Verizon had finally come up with a cellular business internet plan with a device that's better than your typical hotspot MiFi unit. So the unit he's got now, I forget the brand off the top of my head, but it's actually made to just take the Verizon SIM card. I think you can actually put 2 SIM cards in it. But yeah, it actually has an Ethernet port, so his computer is actually wired, which saves me a whole lot of headaches doing tech support for the man. So yeah. Thankfully, he's not had any real issues with it since we put it in place. I may stop in at his house and check on it and see if it needs any updates tomorrow after the open house. So, all right. Let's go refresh this real quick. Interesting. I just did updates before the live stream, and it's saying I've got a couple more. All right, so again, I'm in Proxmox. If you come down to, usually it's local and ISO images. You've got a couple options. You can download from a URL. This is what I was actually trying to do, of trying to find a direct link to the ISO image. Or you can download it to your main computer and then upload here. So we're going to do that this time around. Much faster than downloading from the internet. And we'll see what we can do here. All right, let's check out chat. Looks like could not get it to boot using the onboard video. Not sure if my i9 12900KS actually supports it. Oh, gotcha. Okay, so we've got task OK. We can close this window. And then you can create a new VM. Right click, create VM, and spirallinux. And the OS, you need to choose the proper storage location and the ISO you want to use. On system, I typically leave this alone for a Linux. Install disks. Let's make this, I don't know, 60 gigs. And we'll give this 2 cores and 8 gigs of RAM. Go to the confirmation screen and start when created. So it's creating right now. All right, so we've got 3 options. Utilities gives us the hardware detection tool and memory tester. And we can launch to the live version of this. Pop out a console. Here we go. All right, so obviously you can, since it's a live distribution, you can go into the menu and you can do whatever you'd like and test applications and, you know, whatever else you want to do from here. For the sake of argument tonight, because I don't want to go past hopefully 9:30, 9:45 with this, we're going to go ahead and execute that. All right, we'll stick with American English since I'm just the typical American dude that only speaks one language. America, New York, and everything else is detected fine. Keyboard is fine. We're going to erase the virtual disk. I'm not going to encrypt on a VM. All right. Okay, so I'm going to let it do its thing. And that's that until it gets done. Oh, conflicting information on the processor. Yeah, I was thinking that those higher end i9s did not have onboard video on most of them, but I honestly, I don't keep up on Intel parts as much as maybe I should. Um, Hello, Christopher. How's the weather down there in Texas? Okay, let's see. Launch Q1 of 2022. 16 cores, 8 performance, 8 efficiency, 24 threads, 5.5 gigahertz turbo. Oh, turbo max. Get rid of this. And 128 gig max RAM. Nice. Supports DDR4 or 5. 2 memory channels. Well, this is saying it's got UHD 770 graphics. Huh. All right. Well, maybe your motherboard's having problems. That could be, or it could be some weird thing that that Asus did. I think you said you were using an Asus board. Something that Asus did with that particular board and processor combination. It's hard to tell on some of that stuff. All right, that's actually going pretty quick for an install. So, oh, let's see. Nothing. I guess other than these projects I've been working on, there's nothing really big that's going on here at the moment. Um, Once I can feel like I'm down the home stretch on those laptops, I'm really itching to get that system finished off the table in my living room and brought into the office for installing Proxmox and all that fun stuff. And I think I've got another Optiplex sitting around that just needs an OS installed on it. Um, um, oh, good question, Chris. Heard about this on 9to5linux.com. They had a nice little article here. I can throw that in chat. This is from the developer behind Gecko Linux. So I thought it sounded interesting, and I've been pretty much living in the Debian-osphere for better part of 20 years, probably 17, 18 years at this point. And so when there's a new Debian-based distribution, I at least like to check it out. Um, so, um, but yeah, um, finally, finally, I see they're actually including Ventoy in the recommended list for creating a bootable USB stick. Um, Rufus and Linux Live USB creator tools for Windows are not recommended. And then on Linux, Ventoy also gets listed. So, all right. Well, they've got nice little screenshots and things. Not sure exactly how all of this documentation is laid out and whether it's actually finished or if this is more of a getting started and little things, little hints and tips like Btrfs, snapshots and rollbacks, managed with the Snapper GUI utility. Okay. In the rare event the system becomes unbootable, use spirallinux snapshots section of the grub boot menu to select a working snapshot. Interesting. And it talks about the Builder Edition and frequently asked questions, which only has one question so far. So, see where we're at on the install. Still at 77%. That's all right. So yeah, I guess I can admit here because it's a friendly bunch of people. Generally, I'm sort of a creature of habit. I probably for more than 20 years now. I have. Well, it started off. I was reading tech news every day. Now I'm down to maybe 3 days a week, just because I don't always make the time like I used to. But 9 to 5 Linux has become one of the sites that I typically scan through articles every day. And then they have 9 to 5 Mac. Which I will go through on a less regular basis. For those of you that may follow Mac news, Apple had their worldwide developer conference this week. They announced their M2 chip and some new MacBook Airs and a new 13-inch MacBook Pro with the M2 chip. The next OS is going to be Mac OS 13, which is codenamed Ventura. And so immediately my thought was, well, it is version 13, so we'll see if it turns out to be more Jesse Ventura or Ace Ventura. Regardless, it should be interesting. So, restart now. Done. Okay, so I'm going to close that and come back here and try to turn this off quick enough before it boots. There we go. Okay. So I did install this as just a BIOS standard version. I did not do EFI on this, in case anybody was wondering. This is from the Gecko Linux people. I wonder how much has been ported over. That's a good question. I have not played with Gecko Linux in quite some time, so I'm not sure I'm going to be the best person to answer that question. But maybe I'll have to do an install of Gecko and then do a comparison on Sunday or something. That might be an interesting topic for the Sunday stream. All right, that's staying there for an awful long time. Well, that does not seem great. I just found out that my older motherboard BIOS may be the problem. I need to upgrade. Was waiting until the camera was rolling before I did that. Gotcha. Okay, so hopefully this is going to do something. This is not a good first impression. But hey, you know, oh, maybe patience is paying off. Maybe patience is paying off. Time will tell. So, I guess I should check and see what I got for updates here on the Mac. Fing Network Scanner, Xcode has yet another update. And then Blackmagic Disk Speed Test. Interesting. That is definitely something worthwhile for a video featuring my build. Just strange since everything else seems to work. DDR5 memory was my main worry. Yep. So my understanding is that DDR5 RAM has had like a 20% price drop in the last several weeks. Hopefully you didn't get gouged. What keyboard do you use? This is... Hold that thought. I think I've got the box right here. Oh. As far as my keyboard, this is the guy that I'm using. This Nixius Moda version 2 mechanical. And this has the Kailh, Kailh blue keys. I've had this keyboard for, I don't know, maybe 3 years now. I liked it enough that I bought a second one and took it to work with me. So let me bring this back on. This is hey, look at that. We'll probably get a little wizard thing here for first setup. I'm guessing. No battery. Well, that's because it's a desktop and not a laptop. That's one thing that's always kind of annoyed me is that it doesn't detect properly or prompt with a question of, hey, is this a desktop? And if it is, we'll stop notifying you that there's no battery. I know it's a small nitpick, but okay. So we've got PC Man FM for the file manager, the QT version or Qt version, if you will. It does detect quite a, well, let's see. NAS, printer, NAS. Yeah, once upon a time I went a little overboard on buying NAS units. Mainly for testing purposes because I thought I was going to have clients using something and then using something else, and then they backtracked and decided to go a completely different direction. And so I ended up with plenty of storage space for movies and things. Yeah, one of the things I like about that keyboard is that I think both times I bought it was only like $65 per keyboard. So it gives me a decent clicky tactile feel, which actually improved my typing speed by like 20%, and my accuracy went up as well, compared to the keyboard I was using prior to that, which was a Logitech Wave keyboard, which, although it didn't have the click, it was a decent keyboard for what it was. I'm limited on the width of my desk, so I thought going down to something without the 10 key on the side would work just fine, and I haven't really missed it for most things. So, all right. Desktop preferences. What do we have? Background, color, enable slideshow, visible shortcuts. I guess having home on the desktop would not be a bad thing. Scrolling the mouse wheel will move you to different desktops. So, all right, so we've got the menu down here in the bottom left. That's pretty standard fare. The file manager, Firefox, web browser, which we'll see what version they give us for that. And let's see, help. No, maybe that's not it. Settings. That's not what I wanted. There we go. There we go. Oh, that's because I did the... There we go. Help about Firefox. Ooh. Okay, this is the extended support release, but they're only on release 91. And 102 is in beta right now. So take that for what you will. I guess I tend to be, at least on the current version of a browser, I don't generally run betas, but once in a while I will. Okay, so accessories, Catfish file search, disks, firmware. It's only been in, I don't know, the last 5 years, 3 to 5 years maybe, that you've got decent and reliable firmware updaters included in Linux desktops. Before that, it was something that didn't really exist. LXQt file archiver, menu editor, mousepad, which is a text editor, and then of course file manager and the screenshot utility, which did that launch or not? Oh, there it goes. Okay, so region to capture, entire screen, active window, select a region, capture mouse pointer, and delay before capturing. So, not the flashiest of utilities, but it does the job. Graphics, document scanner, document viewer, drawing, LX image, Libreoffice Draw. Is that a second screenshot utility? Or is it just a link to the same one? It looks like the same one. Okay. Oops. All right. Let's see here. It's got a different icon. This one has just a X Windows icon on it, and this one actually has a real regular icon to it. And then Shotwell is a photo manager. For internet, we've got Firefox, ESR, Pigeon for instant messaging, Thunderbird for mail, and Transmission, which I believe is a torrent client. Office, document viewer, fax address book, HP Lit fax utility, and the LibreOffice suite. Other language support, packages, which obviously is going to be a package manager, Snapper GUI, and Snapper GUI as root, and software. So we've got, this is an add remove software utility, and then I think the other one is probably like Synaptic or something along that line. This is, oh yeah, I really have to, if I had a pen I'd make a note right now. I really need to reschedule my backup cycles to not be in this part of the evening. And I think that's what's bogging down the machine right now, is that it's doing backups on other VMs on this machine. And I don't know. Where's traffic control? Anyways, we'll work around it. Okay, so welcome to software. Let's go shopping. Software catalog is being downloaded. Getting Flatpak metadata for FlatHub. TVJ, hello, welcome. Let's Let's see. Oops. What is in settings? I would like to see if they included remote access and file share in any config tools that have been copied from SUSE. Let's see. So we've got LXQt settings and appearance, desktop, notifications, file associations, additional drivers. This looks like pretty standard Debian stuff to me. GDebi package manager, gparted, Gnome software, network tools. Yeah, this really looks pretty bog standard Debian stuff to me. Open box configuration manager. That could be fun, or really let you screw things up. Oh, look at that. Software updates are available. So, all right. Well, yeah. So this is, what you'd expect from a software store, package manager, front end type of thing these days, I guess. You got categories down at the bottom. Oh, something went wrong. Timeout was reached. Okay. What's builder just for grins? Screenshot not found. Actively developed integrated development environment for Gnome. Interesting. Kden Live. So, yeah. Guess open box configuration manager could be interesting. Let's see. Random question. Do you know Jack Audio? No. I've heard of it. I have not used it. I've kind of kept playing with audio stuff on Linux a little bit at arm's length because of the ongoing changes with Pulse Audio and Pipewire and some of the stuff that's just making things a little wonky at the moment in some cases. So although I use Linux for a lot of things, my main desktop right now is a Mac Mini. I admit that. I did run Linux as my sole operating system from, 1997 to about 2008 when I was given a Mac. And then it was a combination of Linux and Mac OS. And now, it's still Linux and Mac OS. Although I do find myself spending more time for desktop type applications on Mac OS. But all my server stuff is Linux based. right down to my NAS boxes. And yeah, I don't even think I've got any BSD stuff running at the moment. So because when the great schism in the FreeNAS world happened, and FreeNAS went to IX Systems, and NAS for Free was born, which later became Sigma NAS. I stuck with my old FreeNAS box for quite a while after that, and then I migrated to Open Media Vault. So that's kind of when I got off the BSD train, and I've only dabbled with it after that. Let's see, just out of curiosity, let's see what version of LibreOffice they're shipping. I'm guessing it's going to be 6 something, since it's Debian-based. 7042. All right. It's little older, but not as old as I was thinking it might be. I still may install the flat pack version of the latest and greatest LibreOffice if I were to use this longer term. But yeah, I mean, the installer was easy. It went relatively quick. The thing I'm curious about is this Snapper GUI. And my suspicion is that this is create configuration. Create snapshot. Let's call it initial. Empty pre-post. And we'll, okay. So, there we go. There's my, okay, so you get the root and you get home for creating separate snapshots on. That's nifty. Are you going to tell me anything about this? Maybe not. So Snapper is supposed to create Btrfs snapshots, and theoretically, when you reboot, we'll see if this works for us or not. Hey, look at that. spirallinux snapshots. And you can restore right from the grub boot menu to a snapshot. That is kind of nifty. That is kind of nifty. I use Windows for my desktop, but Linux for servers. I need to route audio from one program to another. Gotcha. I'm honestly, since I haven't played with Jack a lot, I'm honestly not sure where to send you for a resource on that, Jay. Did that lock up on me? I just not have been ready. All right. So that snapper utility is kind of nifty. Not as flashy as the system restore that comes with Windows, but it's functional, and I mean, what more do you need? Typical user isn't going to use that really anyways, but if they've got somebody setting up their system for them, or maintaining it for them, then that may very much come in handy. So let's see, packages. And this is package manager for Gnome. All right. So this is probably going to be all your deb packages, and the other one might be more of the flat pack type things. So they have a legacy. Dummy empty package. Interesting stuff. So electronics. AVR development board IDE from Arduino. All right. I haven't had my Arduino out in way too long. Haven't had my ESP32 out. Yeah, I really want to get to the point where I've got a little bit of free time, maybe later in the summer, and start playing a little bit again. I've got to do some work and get my Raspberry Pis back up and going. I got a couple of them I took down, I don't know, right after Christmas, because I knew they needed to be updated, and I haven't brought them back up yet. Just out of curiosity, because I haven't looked at this in a while, and I think I'm still contributing to it on a monthly basis. NEMS Linux. They are still on version 1.5.2 build 1. So I've got to go back and see. I know the guy that builds NEMS Linux. I had done the contribution and had access to some of the others, but last I heard, I thought 1.6 was right around the corner, and everything seems to still be on a 1.5 version. So that's a little disappointing, I guess, but looks like no changes since April. Hello, Jangle Stick. Welcome. Thanks, guys. Had to quit the YouTube app for some reason. Um, all right. So yeah, I'm. I mean, as a Debian um, based distribution goes, I'm impressed with this. I think it's got some interesting features that I haven't seen elsewhere. Um, you know, I might consider running this on a lower powered desktop. This seems honestly pretty snappy in a VM, and I imagine it would feel a little bit faster directly installed on the hardware, especially on an SSD, even on an older machine. Um, so yeah, um, let's look at appearance. Widget style, GTK2, icon theme, LXQt theme, font, cursor. Wonder if Control Alt T brings up a terminal. Oops. Well, that's good. That's annoying. Um, brings in something from Linux Mint that is a pet peeve of mine, and that's having asterisks in the terminal. Um, but that can be turned off. I don't have my instruction sheet in front of me, my cheat sheet that I started building. That I've got the instructions in there to turn that off, at least on Mint. And I'm assuming since this is also Debian based that it would work here as well. I guess I'm just old school in that way that I prefer not to have the number of characters of my password visible, which is what the asterisks does. Um, Although I've seen in some places where um, you can configure the number of asterisks that shows for each key press. So you could set it to 2 or 3 and, um, sort of mask what you're showing other people. But, yeah, I mean, I think this is nice. It's not the flashiest I've seen, but it is LXQt, and um, that's always been meant to be more lightweight than super flashy. So what I'd like to see though is a couple things, and then we'll think about wrapping this up here in the next 20 minutes or so. Um, okay, so that's got to be where the wallpaper is. It's just in a wallpapers directory in user share, but there don't appear to be other wallpapers here. Um, so I'll have to think about that and maybe go grab some other wallpapers. One thing I did see is a folder for VirtualBox. So I'm not sure if that is tucked somewhere in here or if that's not installed and that's just sort of a maybe a staging folder for the guest editions, or I suppose it could be for if you're installing in a VM on VirtualBox, that it would have the guest edition files built into the ISO image and ready to go, so you get better screen resolutions out of the box, so to speak. Even though that term is really rather outdated because there are no boxes for anything anymore. So yeah. Anything anybody else wants to see on spirallinux here? We got the calendar with the date and time over here, Bluetooth. We got options. This is for the panel at the bottom. Advanced settings. I'm not inclined to mess with those right now. So then we've got networking. This should just launch normal network manager. Connection established. I would think you'd be able to edit it from there, but apparently not. Clipboard manager, volume, and show desktop. So I guess the one thing I should do, because it's been sort of a tradition, is to see how easy it is to set up the printer. And network printer, there's my brother. Forward. And additional printer drivers required. Find in software. Manufacturer supplied PPD files for Brothers PostScript printers. Forward. Brother recommended. What did it load here? You're searching for could not be found. So there's the 5340, which is an older version of the printer I've got, but that should work. And it's got the D for duplex. I think I'll actually go with the 5170 because that should be the direct predecessor. Yep, the printer's going. Okay, so That all the basic things. Does let you set 1200 DPI if you wanted. I tend to only print at 600 because, well, even resumes anymore, you're always shipping them off as PDFs and you're not actually printing them. So that's all right. So I just tend to not print stuff above 600 DPI. 600 looks pretty enough. Okay. Cool that it's Debian-based. LXQ has some odd limitations. Gotta say, I don't expect much of my terminal window anymore. Yeah, that's true. I did this mostly because it's a VM and just to keep it lighter weight, especially considering that I always seem to schedule these evening live streams at the same time my backups run for my Proxmox servers. So I try to compensate for that a little bit. I need to schedule my time on that differently going forward. Gotta go. Hope to catch you live again in the future. Thanks for stopping by, Jay. May have missed you already, but appreciate you stopping in. I'm always barely getting my audio to work. Somewhat of a gamble which speaker it comes out of. Yep. VMware being bought by Dell. Actually, that's incorrect. VMware is being bought by Qualcomm. Dell used to own it. I think they spun it off, and now it's being purchased by Qualcomm. So I'm not sure how bad it's going to be. I at this point in time, I've pretty much standardized on Proxmox. I know the one thing that the Qualcomm executives have said is that they want to move VMware to a subscription model. And I know it's something that David and I have discussed a little bit in a previous live stream. And I know I don't want to be beholden to another subscription. So, I will continue to use Proxmox. And, if something were to happen to Proxmox, I will experiment with I'll experiment with XCPNG, but I yeah. Oh no, you're right, Jangle Stick, Broadcom. For some reason, I was thinking Qualcomm, the chip manufacturer, but you're right. It's Broadcom. It's Broadcom. $61 billion. So, and shares of VMware went down and shares of Broadcom went up. So, take that for what you will, I suppose. But, I don't know if they go to a subscription model, then even at my day job at the library, we've got VMware Workstation over there, and I will likely either redo some part of the infrastructure and get everything running on Proxmox, or I will migrate the one main VM that we've got to, as much as I hate to say this, I'll migrate it to Microsoft's oh no, I'm having a brain fart. Yeah. um, um, Hyper-V. Doggone it. You hit middle age and your brain turns to mush. Ugh. Okay. I would hope for a mass exodus of people experimenting with VMs. And that's, that's what my hope is as well. Um, I am out for any subscription models. Yes, Broadcom, the bane of every open source hardware project. Yep, that too. Um, Hyper-V, okay, hopefully it won't go that far. Yeah, we're due for an upgrade on our VMware workstation right now, but it is one of those things that when I took the job, I had high hopes of making some sweeping changes because there were some things that were, let's just say, done in a questionable manner before I got there. VMware Workstation should never be run on a server, in my opinion. Others may disagree with me, but and the reason I say that is because when there's a power outage or the server reboots, if you're running VMware Workstation, those VMs do not restart automatically. So, yeah, I would love to be able to just migrate the library over to Proxmox and do away with servers running on bare metal at all, because for what we do, I think Active Directory is even overkill, but I'm not going to yank that out quite yet. There are only 5 staff members at the library, and nothing has ever been set up as far as a large amount of group policies or anything like that. And for all intents and purposes, we could run a Linux-based Active Directory server and be just fine. It's such a small organization. But that is something that is up for further discussion. I've got a new director starting, so I need to feel out how tech savvy she is and how best to move things forward. But basically, I've been trying to get documentation written in a more approachable manner, and get things sort of stable there before I start really pushing for a new initiative. And of course, this past week I found another hole in the documentation that I was left. and something that I haven't needed in the last almost 3 years of being at the job, and had to go hunting for it. So that was playing a little detective work there, but doing a little detective work there. It turned out fine. But yeah, I've got a lead on a different job, and it's one I'm inclined to at least apply for. Although I'm honestly curious to find out why this particular position has been open as long as it has. I don't know whether to view that as a red flag or not. But hey. So yeah, I guess that really wraps up what I wanted to cover as far as spirallinux. Um, Hopefully, if nothing else, it gives people another Linux distribution to consider when they do their next desktop machine. I still the thing I like One of the things I like about this is that it has so many different versions, so you could go flashy with KDE Plasma, or something like Budgie, or Gnome. um, Mate and Cinnamon tend to be a little bit lighter weight. um, XFC probably the lightest weight of the bunch, at least traditionally it would have been, but um, well, LXQT and XFCE, I guess it's six of one, half dozen of the other. They're both pretty light. So yeah, it's an initial release. I'm not sure there've even been any other or many other videos on it. So yeah, when I saw that, um, I started thinking the Fibonacci sequence, and you know, um, let's see. Let's see. Good point. Sounds like the previous person gave themselves a bit of recurring business on restart, maybe. Well, he was actually an internal IT guy, but he took it as a second job. And I'm not sure he was really into it the way I've thrown myself into it. I like Samba AD with over a dozen machines coming and going. Simplifies secure personal logins. Yep. Yes, I am working at an actual library. That's my day job, and then I do YouTube and other consulting on the side, and am also a minority share owner in another business, which hasn't done much since COVID, but hopefully it's going to ramp up a little bit more this summer as we progress through the rest of the year. The more I read about my CPU motherboard combination and my new server, I realize how lucky I was to get it working with such an old motherboard firmware. Yeah, I would have been in a real mess if I needed a lower end 12th gen CPU to update the BIOS. Yeah, that's one of those things. I think that may be partially what happened with that Asus motherboard I had years ago. That was a high end board, and I never got it to work. I've got a suspicion that it's because I bought a higher end CPU at the time and it wasn't compatible, but I never bought a lower end CPU for that board to see if I could get it to work. But that was even after an RMA to Asus, and they said, "Oh, it works." And then I tried it when I got it back, and no, it didn't. Which is why, up until I bought this i9 stuff that I've got now, that I'm still fumbling around trying to get it going because of other projects. But I know that works because I know the guy I bought it from. Looks like one of the accessible minimal installs. Yep. More likely he just avoided documenting. Yeah. The documentation that I got when I started was some of it was helpful, some of it was unnecessary, and stuff that I wish would have been there wasn't there. You know, so I've tried to go through and rebuild and do the documentation as a proper document, like to the point where um, I'm actually writing it in LibreOffice, but I've got a table of contents, and it'll have page numbers when it's all done, and just a lot of little things, little touches to hopefully make it easier for the next person. Because, like I said, I've got this lead on a job that I'm interested in applying for. It's actually a 100% work from home job. I'm not going to disclose who it's with at this point, but yeah, it seems like something that would fit well with my skill set, and they even have a program where they encourage all of their employees to, regardless of what position they're in, they encourage them all to learn a programming language. And so if I can make a switch to another job and be able to pick up a new programming language that I use in the day job, and I might be able to use for side projects as well, then all the better. I haven't done a programming project in a long time, and I wouldn't mind dabbling with it again. I'd probably run out and buy a $100 i3 12th gen chip. Yep. They have been a UEFI requirements problem to update the BIOS. Looking forward to the i9 videos. Yep, they'll be coming as soon as I can clear my plate of some other projects. I've actually got some time. I've got it tentatively blocked out Sunday afternoon after the live stream to finish this machine and maybe get a recorded video done to launch at the beginning of the week, but then it will become a steady feature of videos going forward. Tech folks do not generally have documentation as a strong point skill. I once worked at a New York bank where the entire dev team except me was that way. Yeah. Well, and one of the, I guess, frustrations when I took over looking at how he built the documentation. He built it with one of the Microsoft tools. He didn't do it in Word. Um, uh, Anyways, so basically each bit of documentation was a separate document, and it lets you compile it somewhat and together, and it wasn't the way my brain worked, and you know, um, I was at the point where it was either going to be a wiki or it was going to be built in a word processor, and the word processor won out because it was quicker to get it started, and um, yeah. So, anyways, um, happened. If that happened like it did with the AMD going from 2000 3000 series, an instruction set mismatch. Interesting. Hello, Catherine. Just kind of winding down things. We took a look at spirallinux tonight. I've already shut down the VM, and I'm just trying to catch up with chat. Um, Thanks for the rundown on your biz adventures. Glad you're looking forward to a new language. Yeah, I think it would be interesting um, to do that if I were to land this job. So, um, uh, yeah, no update yet. I'll just leave it at that. Um, um, it was a toss up tonight whether to just sit and work on the i9 system or whether to go live, and going live won out. Um, just because of other computer based frustrations I was having earlier today, and just didn't want to return to that realm. So tentatively, I've got Sunday afternoon blocked off for finishing the build, and um, now that I finally got a couple of other projects behind me, I feel like I can sit and put some music on and just push through the rest of the build and get it tested. So, but yeah. All right. Well, I think that is going to wrap things up for tonight. It is 10 o'clock, so we've gone 96 minutes. It's 10:05, 10:06. Um, so if I do actually get to return from my niece's graduation open house earlier than expected tomorrow, then maybe I will finish the i9 build tomorrow. I may go mess with it a little bit tonight yet, but I'm not going to guarantee that. Um, but yeah, this has been fun. We had a few um, people that I haven't normally seen in the chat tonight. So, um, I just want to give a shout out to everybody that did stop by. We had Joe from Cajoling Technologies. David is still here. Um, Christopher's been in. And we've had TVJ, who had to leave earlier, and Jangle Stick has been around. I think that, and you, Catherine, that I think catches up everybody that's been here. So thank you all for coming out. If you can help give the YouTube algorithm a little kick in the pants by giving the video a like, I'd appreciate it. And hopefully I'll see some of you in the Sunday live stream. So everybody have a safe night, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.